Hey there, team. I hope you're surviving this super windy Friday afternoon. So some things we know Park is going to test us on are normal distributions. This would be your bell curves. That would be your 68, 95, 99.7 rule. With your bell curves, you would need to know average and your standard deviation. We also know Park is going to have sine and cosine. You would have to know what is controlling your amplitude and what is controlling your period. Then we would have to know radicals. You have to know radicals and how they're controlled and how to find extraneous solutions and what extraneous means. Let's see, you would have to know a whole lot on quadratics. We need to know ABC. We need to know A, H, K. And we also need to know factored form. We would have to know what each of these control and what each of these do with a parabola, either a maximum vertex or a minimum vertex. Quadratics, we also have to know discriminant and quadratic formula to find the zeros, which we also called solutions and roots. Then we'd have to know AOS to get vertex. After we did quadratics, we went into exponential growth and decay. Which was controlled by your starting amount and your rate. If it was annual, you'd be to the x power. If it was monthly or daily or weekly, you would have to divide your rate and multiply your time by the number of times that the rate is being compounded. We finished the year talking about polynomials and breaking apart those equations either with greatest common factor or by grouping. If there's anything in this list you've forgotten or you want to continue practicing, I strongly encourage you to review your Park folder this weekend that we use with all the homeworks. I strongly encourage you to either go through your teacher side notes or go on Edmodo, find the teacher side lesson that has any of these things for you to study, because we know 100% Park will be asking you these things next week. So let's continue with polynomials. The previous videos have already gone through some of these things. Let's look now at some polynomials. So here I've got two expressions, and Park wants us to break them apart. I'm either going to GCF them or I'm going to group them depending on what they have in common with each of their terms. So in this first polynomial, we notice they don't all have x, but they can all be divided by 2. So if this first term is divided by 2, you get, if you factor out the 2, I would get 81. The 144 divided by 2 would give me 72, and then the third term divided by 2 would give me 16. Well, this does not match any of my choices. The first one almost matches, but my exponent does not match. So I got to break up this term again. Got to break it now. I've got to factor this now into two pieces. So I notice 81 and 16 are both perfect numbers. So I'm going to take this term right here. I'm going to try and break it apart to two pieces. So let's see. I love doing boxes. I know this would be my first box. My constant would be my last box. Well, 81's perfect because that's just 9 times 9. And to get x to the 4th power, that would be x squared times x squared. And 16 is perfect because that's just 4 times 4. The question is, how am I going to add these two boxes to get negative 72? Well, 9 times 4 is going to be 36. 9 times 4 is 36. And 36 plus 36 is going to give me 72. But I need that to be negative 72. So let's see. I've got to make both of these, I've got to come out negative. And I know this has to be positive. So if I do this, my 36's become negative, my 16 stays positive. So I break this down to 2 times 9x squared minus 4, 9x squared minus 4. And this, when I multiply it, would give me the exact same thing as my beginning polynomial. So I know it's not this one. Let's see if this matches. Well, that's not going to match. That's not going to match because of the 81. Let's see, 2, 9, negative 4, 9, negative 4. Well, there I go. This will be the complete factorization of this polynomial. Let's see if we can get this last one done before the battery runs out on the laptop. So these 4 terms do not have anything in common, so I can't GCF it like the previous one, but we can group these into smaller parts that do have common factors. This first group is going to have x squared in common. That would be a squared minus 2c. And this second group is going to have y in common. A squared minus 2c if I factor out the y. This doesn't match my choices, but I can regroup this. I can put the outsides together and the insides together. A squared minus 2c. And that does match. Let's see, that does match answer choice C. And we got them both done just before the laptop's battery dies out. Catch you tomorrow.